Ziggy
Mr. Bond, carry
Piggy,
on.
Ziggy Piggy. It's from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Ah, I really should have seen that.
Dun 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 dun. I'm the doctor, this is my section. Earth is under my protection. Planet of birth is Gallifrey. I've got 2 hearts, your life is safe. Run into the master, raw Missy. Come on, Alonzo. Alonzi. I am a Time Lord. No, I'm not rich. 12 bodies and men. Now it's time for a switch. Don't look like that. I'm in great health. You were expecting someone else. Regeneration. Oh, such fun. When I say run, run, run. What's that, my boy? Peace and sanity. Sorry, mustache. Reverse the polarity. Sometimes I'm north, but always a limey. Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey. Jump in the TARDIS, go for a ride. It's bigger on the inside. Exploring all of time and space. Oh, what's that? Exterminate. Cyberman, a Daleks, baby. Would you like a jelly, baby? Time's ticking, we'd best go. A new adventure, Geronimo. I am fantastic, so are you. Best come with me. I'm Doctor Who. Welcome to a brand new episode of D4WH, Doctor Who, What, When, Where, How. As always, I am one of your hosts, Adam O'Sullivan. Joining me as always is the fantastic Nicchia Schutt.
Oh, and I am fantastic.
Part of the Fantastic Four.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're all Nicchia Schutt.
Yeah, they are. There's 4 of me. And, yeah, we argue a lot.
You and me, or you and the other 3 of you?
me and the other 3.
Yeah, it's difficult to do a podcast with 4 of you.
Yeah, well, they're dickheads. So I
mean, they
along.
say the same thing about you,
Yeah.
so...
Yeah, well, what would they know? They're dickheads.
Listen to our upcoming podcast. I'm in a room with 4 Nicchia clones. It's a long title, but it's very apt.
It is. My multiple personality podcast.
Multiplicity.
Yes. Oh, I like that.
Today we're reviewing our first classic episode, so it's just going to be the 2 of us.
Yeah.
Just the 2 of us. Oh.
And nobody
make it
else
if they try.
inside.
Just the 2
There's
of us.
nobody else. Oh, sorry.
You and I.
I was going to get the next line, which was, and I feeling good, so holding you tight. But and then I thought, perhaps...
We don't want to tell people how we record.
No, that's right. And don't hold me this tight. It's really, I can't breathe.
It took Beck so very long to get the microphones to lay down on the bed properly. But
yeah,
we
and
managed
don't
it.
move, because every time they rock...
If the beds are rocking, it means we're recording a podcast.
That's right.
As they always say.
Hang on. Okay. Sorry.
Edit points.
Who was that, Nicchia or Adam?
Yeah. Yeah, it's time to play our favourite game show. Who was that, Nicchia or Adam?
Who was groaning?
Who was groaning, Nicchia or Adam? Who was groaning? We've stopped listening 20 minutes ago.
Yep.
We start off with our first segment, Doctor Who News. Now, it has been rumoured that Doctor Who may be moving back to its original Saturday night time slot.
I didn't think we were dealing with rumours. Are we going with rumours now?
Well, okay, the rumour comes from the Mirror, who also reported on the rumours of the show moving to Sunday nights for season 11, which was true, and the New Year's special instead of a Christmas special, which was also true. So they might have someone within the BBC giving them information.
They might, but isn't the Mirror like a tabloid?
It is, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But due to their track record, plus, you know, I would prefer the Saturday night time slot because...
Oh, God, yes.
Being in Australia, it meant that we would get the episode on Sunday.
Yeah.
Whereas for season 11...
We get it on Mondays.
Yeah, we get it on Mondays.
At 6 o'clock, which is weird.
Yeah, I'd either have to watch it at work to avoid spoilers.
Yeah.
Or watch it that night.
Or just stay off the internet until I can watch it.
Forever, yeah.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah, I think that's a recommendation for everybody, I think. Thanks for listening and downloading our podcast on the internet.
Yes, we love the internet.
According to the Mirror article, the insider states that families might be more free to watch TV on Saturday night instead of the kids rushing to finish their homework on Sunday night before school on Monday.
Oh, and how many people are doing that? Did you rush on Sunday night
Of course.
Did you?
Yeah. Why? When did you do your homework? Friday night?
Well, you've got to remember I went to boarding school, so I kind of was trapped in a room and had to do it. And Saturday mornings we had to go for a couple of hours and do our homework. So
it was either do your homework or get bullied.
Or just sit in the room, and stare at people, which was fun for a while.
I mean, I could have done that. That's fine. Sounds great.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I'd just sit in the room and pass notes to people. But anyway.
And on a poll on the Mirror website, 85% of people said that they would be happy for the show to return to Saturday night.
I think it's a Saturday night show. I mean, in my day it was a Monday to Thursday, but I think it's a Saturday night, so...
It used to change a lot, too.
Yeah, look, they just need to get a time slot and stick to it and stay with that. And obviously not in summer because because people go outside because they're not, well, I mean, it's summer all the bloody year round here. So I think we had winter on a Tuesday last year.
And I remember when I was a kid, Sunday night was always movie night because the TV stations would always play a movie.
They would, 8:30.
Yeah, you'd be allowed to stay up a little bit extra, a little bit later because there was a movie on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Because I'm from the era where every Saturday and Sunday at 6 o'clock you watched Countdown, which was a music show for those who don't know what Countdown is. It was cool.
I'm sure it was.
I was cool.
No comment.
That's my cool laugh.
Our episode today is Genesis of the Daleks.
Yes!
Season 12, Story 4. It is comprised of 6 episodes originally broadcast between March the 8th to April the 12th, 1975.
Oh.
Before I was even born.
He's so young, people. He was like not even a baby.
Not even a wee baby.
Yes.
I don't think my parents had even met then.
Oh, my God. And once again, we confirm how old I am.
No, well, they had me like a year after they got married, so...
Oh, they couldn't wait to meet you.
That's right. Written by Terry Nation and directed by David Maloney, the story features Tom Baker's Fourth Doctor and companions Sarah Jane Smith and Harry Sullivan.
Oh, I loved Harry, and he didn't last long.
I've never heard of Harry before.
Well, Harry, and sadly, Harry, the guy who played Harry, Ian Marter, died of a diabetic heart attack at 42.
Wow. While he was on the show, or...?
No. They brought him in because they didn't know who was going to be the Doctor, and it could have been an older guy, and they wanted a young, dashing guy, which was what the original was set up, that Ian came on, Ian and Barbara, and Ian was the, dashing, and then the Doctor was the older gentleman who couldn't do all the athletic stuff, but then they brought in Tom, and he could do all of that, so they kind of pushed Harry Sullivan out. Harry's just stopped travelling in the TARDIS and went back to unit.
So they wanted a dashing young guy, and what they ended up with was 2 guys in their 40s with perms.
Yeah, pretty much. Although I do believe that that's their real hair, not perms. They actually have curly hair.
Oh, okay. Well, it looks like perms.
All right, I just want to make it clear. Tom Baker did not get a bloody perm. Because when I saw him naked in Rasputin and my childhood was killed, he had curly hair then too.
Wow.
He was in Rasputin and he got out of the bath and he was nude, and I saw things I never want to see on the Doctor.
That's all. Hey,
Nipples.
How is that movie? Well, Tom Baker was nude. I know you've told me that. Do you remember anything else from the movie?
No, because that seared into my brain and ruined my life. It's just some penises you never want to see.
Tom Baker looks like he's got a friggin' Bob Ross afro.
I love him, and I love his big googly eyes. I love
his smile. He looks so
What part
goofy.
of the body are we discussing right now?
The tip of his penis.
Yeah.
His googly eye.
It's googly-eyed.
And when he flips it back and forth.
Shut up!
It was weird that solid 20 minutes of this episode where he just was walking around naked.
Yeah, I know, but I thought the puppetry of the penis was a nice touch, and it really did distract Davros.
When he walks up to that guard and he's like, "Can you help me? I'm a spy," and he points to his dick. And he's like, "I'm a spy, get it? Huh? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, my dick.
Say no more.
Say no more, say no more."
Say nothing more. Let's continue.
All right, we shall move on.
We need a guest because Beck doesn't talk as much when we have a guest.
Yeah, gee, she's chatty. Chitty-chatty.
All right, let's start with a short synopsis. The Doctor is tasked by the Time Lords with a mission. Go to the planet of Skaro and stop the Daleks from ever being created. The Doctor and the 70s Scooby Gang will end up in the middle of a war between 2 races and meet Davros, the creator of the Daleks. Ooh. But can the Doctor be their destroyer? I suppose what I'm trying to say is, if someone who knew the future pointed out a child to you and told you that child would grow up totally evil, to be a ruthless dictator who would destroy millions of lives, could you then kill that child?
Yeah.
Yeah, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I could kill children that are just, fairly going to grow up to be fairly normal. If they're annoying and yelling and screaming, yeah.
You would expect that the person who's doing the time travelling would be the killer, because if someone told you, "Hey, kill that kid," and you did, and you're like, turns out that guy was just a crazy homeless guy and not a time traveller, then that would be awkward.
And that's one of the things with this episode that I noticed. There's a lot of naivety and a lot of trusting of people. Like when he trusts Snyder goes, "Ooh, I want to be a baddie now." And he goes, "Oh, okay.
Here's all the names of all the people."
Yeah, I know.
We'll talk about it when we get there. Oh my God.
I hate Snyder, by the way.
All right. So we start off in a quarry in Betchworth.
Of course we start in a quarry.
Soldiers in gas masks are fighting and dying. Dying from what, you ask? Well, the sounds of gunfire. Not bullets. the sounds of gunfire. They play the sound of gunfire and then people fall over.
Did you, when they're in their gas masks, did you think, I wrote down, are you my mummy?
No, but they were like multicolored gas masks, and I was like, oh, we had a rave or something?
Yeah, that were the Thals. The Thals had the multicolored ones,
well, it's
didn't they?
it's difficult to tell because everyone's dressed the same.
Yeah. You don't have to work too hard to find out that the Khaleds or the Daleks are based on the Nazis. And if you think about it, 74, so it's about 30 years since World War II.
Yeah.
So it's still really quite raw, I think, in everyone's minds, which I think is why this was a very powerful episode at the time. But I thoroughly enjoyed it again.
I mean, we'll get to what I think about it at the end of the episode, but I love that the Khaleds and the Thals are always like, well, surely you know the difference between a Khaled and a Thal. And it's like, yeah, you guys all look like white British men. Yeah. I think we see one woman in the entire 6 episodes.
That's true. She does lead the resistance.
Yeah, but no one thought to write in, well, we couldn't have female scientists, that's for sure. We couldn't have female military people.
I wonder what the women were doing. Maybe they were all at home knitting.
They were all in the dome.
They were all in the dome knitting where they all died.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay.
I got to tell you, the first time I ever saw this episode, and I always say Doctor Who didn't scare me.
Yep.
Davros scared the crap out of me. He was hideous. I mean, this is a guy who needs a manicure and a really good moisturizing facial. I mean, he's hideous.
Well, it's interesting, because obviously I know who Davros is from the later episodes.
Yeah.
Everyone's walking around being like, Khaleds and Thals, we all look human. And then it comes to Davros and it's like, sorry, why is the guy in the wheelchair got a droopy, wax melty face?
Yeah. They don't explain that. I imagine he experimented on himself.
Okay. But no, like, that would be a line of, like, when he started his experimentations, he also experimented on himself.
Oh, they could have said that. Or maybe he just was a really, really ugly baby and just never got any better looking. And so, therefore, he hates everybody.
Well, we know what he looks like as a child.
Yeah, look,
He doesn't look that bad.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
I wonder what... We did see him when he was a child. See, I never thought about that because I didn't know that at the time. I don't know. I don't know why Davros is like that.
It's like there's a super ugly person and everyone's just like, just don't mention it, okay?
Well, I always think... I knew a guy who was not an atheist. He just hated religion, hated Christianity, hated it. And he was the ugliest person I've ever seen in my life.
And you think the two things are related?
Well, I think if God made me that ugly, I'd hate him too. And so it made perfect sense to me.
And that's why I'm an atheist. Fuck you, God.
Yeah, or you could blame your parents, but
Nope.
You got to find somebody.
I know who I blame. Myself.
Right, so...
On this smoky planet, Tom Baker's 4th Doctor is tasked by a rando Time Lord with a mission.
With the nicest hat. It's like a Joker's hat, isn't it? What is he wearing?
I don't know what he's wearing.
Originally, that scene was shot in a Japanese garden. It was all mystical. And then when the new showrunner came in, Philip Hinchcliffe, he didn't like it. So they redid it in the quarry because they thought that worked better.
But he saw the costume and he's like, yeah, that's sweet. Looks great. Fantastic.
That's good. Put a cape on that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's totally fine that random Time Lord looks like a big black condom.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what he was
with
doing.
With a face peeking out of it.
What did you think of Tom, the 4th Doctor?
Yeah, he's all right. He's good.
So you liked him, you first met him?
Well, when I first met him, it took me a while to get used to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I enjoyed his 4th Doctor, The Time Lords have given a mission to go to Skaro and destroy the Daleks before they have ever been created, thus saving millions of lives. Just a reminder that the Time Lords will also put the Doctor on trial multiple times for interfering with other races.
Yeah. Yeah, the Time Lords are dickheads too, like my other... The three other Nicchias.
Like dicks.
Yeah, they're all dickheads.
The Doctor accepts the mission, and it turns out he is already on Skaro. Ooh. The Time Lord gives him a time ring, which is more like a time bracelet.
Yeah. And could he be any bigger and any chunkier?
It's definitely 70s jewellery.
Yeah, and then you get the ominous line, and don't lose it.
Yeah.
It's your lifeline.
That's what we call foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Tom Baker never loses it throughout the entire episode.
Oh, yeah, gosh.
I think the first time he meets someone, he loses it.
Yeah.
The Doctor reunites with his companion Sarah Jane Smith, one of the Doctor's most well-known companions.
Oh, I love Sarah.
And Harry Sullivan, whoever he is.
I think she should have rethought the bright yellow raincoat.
I was going to say, why is she wearing a yellow raincoat?
I'm trying to remember, but I'm pretty sure this one follows on from the Ark in Space.
Okay.
And they were coming down to fix the transmat of something, and they got so they were transmatting to fix it, and then the Time Lords interfered. So as far as I remember, and if I'm wrong, someone will tell us for sure, the TARDIS is still on the Ark, and we're watching the Ark in Space next.
Next, yes.
Watching it in the wrong order, really, but anyway.
Well, every further scene in this episode that Sarah is in, she seems to have discarded another item of clothing.
Yeah.
Because she's like wearing a beanie and gloves and a raincoat, and then in the next scene she loses the beanie, and then she loses the raincoat. And then I didn't realise, because she seems to be in a different outfit in every single scene, but at the end the Doctor gives her a military outfit.
Yeah.
And apparently that's because she was wearing a military outfit in the next episode.
For continuity. Well, keep going. I've got a few bits of trivia.
Okay, all right. We're going to inject those in.
Inject? Sorry, I don't know. What's wrong with me today?
Sarah Jane notices a dead soldier with a radiation detector and gas mask, wearing a mix of animal skins and synthetic materials, and carrying both a futuristic gun and an antique rifle. The Doctor surmises that the war has been going on for so long that they've had to start using older and older equipment. I reckon that the BBC had a bunch of period-era weaponry lying around, and only enough budget to make one futuristic gun, which we see a handful of times.
Do you think maybe War and Peace had just wrapped up and they had some guns left over?
Because you see one futuristic gun, and then the rest of it is just like other guns that they probably had lying around.
The weird thing is, I was doing a little bit of reading about this, and I watched the special features.
I was going to watch the special features until I realised they were an hour long, and I was like, no thanks.
Oh.
I just wasted I spent 3 hours of my life watching a Doctor Who episode.
Well, they were really good, but they were producing one episode a week. Can you imagine?
Wow.
How
throughout the entire
hard
year?
That was all the time in Doctor Who.
Wow.
So what you just saw, they made every week one of those episodes. I mean, that's incredible. Like, some of the special effects I thought were okay. There were some that made me laugh out loud.
Oh yeah. I mean, you've got to give it leeway. I've got to remember it was from the 70s.
Yeah, not even 80s. It was from the 70s, and they were making one a week, and they had no money, and they had limited money, and they were changing showrunners. So it was from, I think, Bob Holmes and Barry Lett, and it was going on to Philip Hinchcliffe and Bob Holmes, I think. And so it wasn't like we do it now, where, you kind of know when you've got a year to prepare. It was kind of, it's still running, step on in. Yeah. These are the stories that you inherit. So,
but I mean, that's my main complaint about the classic series is just that the stories are so long.
Yeah.
But it's because of the episodic, and that's why older stories like Pride and Prejudice and all that sort of thing, A Christmas Carol, like those, why those were so wordy was because the authors were being paid by the word.
Yeah.
So we think, it's so much description and stuff. Well, they were just trying to get paid more, you know. And same with Doctor Who. It's like, well, we've got to
fill this much time.
Yeah, we've got to fill an entire year.
Yeah.
So there's so much padding and there's so many B stories and.
So did you think? So I've been watching Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy again. Did you think that there was as much padding in this one as there were in those ones that we were watching?
Okay, well let's get into it.
I'm curious because I didn't.
No, I didn't either. So out of the episodes that I've watched of the classic series, and there's fuck Scott Black for making me watch Trial of the Time Lord. Oh my God.
I kind of enjoyed it.
Like, that is the worst example of, oh my God, there is so much padding.
Yeah. They just spend their time being kidnapped and rescued and kidnapped and rescued.
I counted the amount of times that the Doctor and his companions got captured in this episode. Yeah. We'll talk about that at the end.
Well, when you've got people at war, you're going to get captured. Hey, at least he doesn't use the sonic screwdriver to get out.
No.
And the nerd is off.
Oh, my God. We'll talk about it when we get there.
You keep promising me, but I'm not hearing it.
But yeah, out of the episodes that we've watched so far, this is the best that I've seen.
I think it still holds up fairly well, but you'd have to watch it one episode at a time.
Yeah, I would like to see someone edit this down to like an hour and a half or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I think it would be immensely better.
Well, I'm sure it would, and you put a bit more money into it, and
Not even that, just tighten up the editing.
Yeah.
And make it into like an hour and a half thing without so many B stories and people getting captured all the time and back and forth. Like literally someone will get captured, they'll escape, then they'll get captured
again.
and they'll be in the exact same spot they were, and it's like, oh, you just did that to add an extra 10 minutes to the episode.
I hated the way that Sarah, she comes up with the escape plan from the Thals. Then halfway up she freaks, which annoyed me because it doesn't seem like her character. Then she falls, then she gets back up, then she gets recaptured, and there she is.
And then later on we find out that the scaffolding can be electrified.
Yes.
Which would have been useful when people are climbing it up, you know?
Why didn't they do that then?
Because they needed a cliffhanger.
Oh, was it that obvious?
They walk through a minefield and the Doctor steps on a mine. However, he slowly takes his foot off it, so let's not think about that again. That was an extra 2 minutes. Tick, done. Mines are never discussed ever again. Had them lying around, so we'll chuck them in.
Okay. Well, he didn't like that bit. I liked that bit. What did you think of the Khaleds when you met them?
They're just British people.
But didn't you think that they were a bit, like, scary?
I got that there was a war thing and there was like two people warring against each other, but I didn't understand why they didn't like each other.
Oh, well, I don't understand why half the people who fight now don't like each other.
They were all like, oh, yes, mutos and...
Oh, yes, that was a very PC.
Yeah, mutos and surely Khaled and Athal could tell the difference between each other. Oh, by the way, we have spies all over the place, which means that we all look the same anyway. But I got that it was a war thing and that people, were bastards.
You didn't find them, because their fanaticism, I thought, was quite scary. Their little Hitler cliques and their
I got that as if they were about to high five each other.
Because I always remember the first time I saw, is it General Raven?
Yep.
Oh, I hated him as a kid. I hated him.
You're supposed to hate everybody.
And Nida. Oh.
But they're like, oh, everyone's so loyal to the cause. Really? Because most people don't seem to be loyal to the cause.
No, but probably enough. Or maybe enough lunatics.
Well, I suppose that's a report on the Nazis because, and then there's that famous experiment where as long as someone in a white coat who's a scientist will tell you to keep shocking that person, you'll keep putting it up higher and higher until it's like lethal. But someone told me I can do it, so I do it, you know.
Yeah, I often wonder about that experiment. Could you do it? Could you electrify? Could you give electric shock to someone? That's the experiment.
Well, yeah, it depends.
You weren't really.
Yeah.
But you didn't know you weren't.
But I would reach a point where I would be like, oh, this is definitely killing them. I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah, I would hope so. Or maybe I'd become Davros. God, think of how much money I'd save on moisturiser.
I don't think Davros is anyone's telling him what to do.
Oh, no.
He's telling people to go buy him moisturiser.
He has his own ugly complex, doesn't he? I'm ugly, so I shall hate
Maybe
everyone.
He looks in the mirror and he's like, ooh, blue eye in the top of my head. I'm looking pretty sharp.
Do you know, that was supposed to blink more, but apparently the batteries didn't always work.
Everything blinks.
I always think the hardest thing would be, sorry, I'm distracting you.
No.
Is getting the lights on the Dalek to work in sync.
Well, they don't half the time.
Well, because the guy who's doing the voices is in another room on a monitor or behind a curtain, and then the guy who's operating it is packed in and operating with his knees and his feet, and he's got all these levers, and he's got to move the eye stalk, blink the light, and try to be in sync.
There was quite a few times where I was watching the Dalek talk, and it's like the lights aren't lighting up at all. Although my favourite thing is just watching Davros like scoot around in his little thing. And it's obviously trying to like pretend to be mechanical, but you can like see his core like really ripped and being like...
The funny thing about Michael Wishart, who played it, is that he was in a kilt and knee pads because it was really uncomfortable to sit in pants and your knees moved the base around. Yeah. And so they said the first time he got out, he's wearing a kilt and knee pads and he's got his Davros face on because he could still eat. And then they all went to lunch and they went down to the BBC canteen and he went down there as Davros and ate his lunch.
And the Mirror reported Davros is Scottish.
And the other funny thing is that he did all the rehearsals with a paper bag on his head because he said once you get the mask on, because there was just hessian over the eyes or gauze, he said it's no good practicing if you could see his face because you can't really see his face. So he put a paper bag on and Tom Baker said he would laugh hysterically because if this guy had the paper bag on his head and a kilt and knee pads, and then he had 2 holes in the top because he was a chain smoker, and he'd smoke.
Oh my God.
And all the smoke would come out of the top.
How many paper bags did he burn by smoking?
I just think that is safety 101, isn't it?
All right, let's start rehearsing.
Experiment! Experiment! I'm telling you the experiment, everybody.
Did someone write their lunch order on my bag? That's my costume, guys. Not funny.
But you see Michael Wishart being interviewed. He took it very, very seriously. And you can tell because he's the first time that you see an evil person who's equivalent to the Doctor. And there's something I love about the scene where they talk about the virus. If you had a capsule.
Oh, yes.
And they're fighting. It's the conflict, but it's the fighting of minds or morals and then he goes, yes, I would. And you go,
He loves that bit.
Oh,
He's like,
yeah.
yes, please. And the doctor's like,
yeah,
sorry, I
yes.
mentioned it. Oh, my God.
he is so evil.
Do you need a moment to be alone? Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
I think he did. I think he probably went and, I don't know, played with some switches.
Oh, they light up and down. In the distance, they see a city covered by a protective dome. Sorry, they see a model of a city covered by a protective dome.
Oh, come on. Don't quibble.
No, it was pretty good. It was pretty
thought
good.
it was
I liked
pretty
it.
good.
The Scooby Gang managed to find the entrance to a bunker in a soundstage after all the location quarry shots.
Which is always good.
Yeah, you can very easily tell that it's now in a soundstage.
Yeah, and the thing is that it's got the 2 elements of classic Who, a quarry and corridors. You know, you're always running up and down a corridor. So
There is a gas attack. The Scooby Gang is attacked by the men in gas masks, and the entrance to the bunker is opened, and soldiers inside open fire. They drag the Doctor and Harry inside the bunker, leaving Sarah Jane knocked out in a gas mask.
yeah, lovely.
This makes the first of many times that the Doctor and his companions are captured. And I will be counting.
We'll call this number 1.
Number 1, that's right. Don't put all of them in here, but at the end I'll tell you how many times they have been captured. It's a lot.
I'm sorry. I don't know. Why am I doing this? Anyway, keep going.
You knew it was going to be like this.
I did.
In the war room, General Raven is playing tic-tac-toe with himself on a model of the domes.
What is that?
I don't know.
Circles.
I love when he just picks one up and he puts it on the other side of the mountains and he's like, yes,
Yeah.
perfect. Like, okay, are you going to give that order or what's going on there?
No, this is just a game I play. I am so winning. Battleship.
What? We're in the middle of a battle? I am just playing tic-tac-toe with myself.
36G. Gotcha.
Battleship.
Yeah, no, it is a bit shit. Did you like the pockets bit when he has to clean out his pockets?
Oh, yes.
And he's got everything in there.
The General tells the Doctor to empty out his pockets, which now clink and clack with the noise of all the stuff that was shoved in them before they started filming the scene.
Yes.
Yep.
But I mean, that's the thing, that the Doctor always got everything in his pockets. Or she.
Yeah, it was interesting. Amongst the various items in the Doctor's pockets are the sonic screwdriver,
Yo-yo.
what looks like a pencil sharpener, and a magnifying glass.
And a yo-yo.
Yeah. I was going to say yo-yo, but you already said it. So
I
I
like
took
the
it out.
yo-yo.
Also, the General is told that the supplies of ammo are running low, so he pulls out his gun to threaten the Doctor.
Yeah. There's a few times where they shoot people and I think, if your ammo's low, why are you shooting all these people? Why shoot the mutos? I feel bad calling them mutos. I just want to call them genetically alternative people.
They don't look any different to anyone. Apparently the only way to be a muto is just to have a bit of dirt on you. And they're like, oh no, genetic mutation. You're like, no, I can wash it off.
No, who's the guy who, I can't remember his name, Galen? Is it Galen who befriends Sarah?
Oh, I just call him her muto friend.
Well, he's got it like an elephant foot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did see that. See?
dear.
See? He got an elephant foot.
Like a foot of an elephant or
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, Davros is weird.
Well, how do they have elephants? They have no animals. Did you notice that?
No.
There's no animals.
Except when they go in the cave and they film an animal like real close and they're like, look how giant it is.
Yeah, and it just looks like the world's weirdest pocket vagina.
And they just have a bunch of clams.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. We'll get to it.
All right, I'm jumping ahead.
The general also states that once he has interrogated them, he will hang them, therefore giving them no incentive to tell him anything. Because he's already told them he's going to kill them anyway.
Never tell them your plan first.
The Doctor notes that Khaled is an anagram of Dalek.
You got to remember, this is the first origin story of the Daleks, and it wasn't originally written as one, but they turned it around and made it, and then it was going to be a little less violent. And then, of course, we open up with battle scenes and I'm going to hang you and shoot you and blah, blah, blah. And Mary Whitehouse hated this episode. She went on and on about the violence and how violent
Otherwise,
it was.
she loved Doctor Who.
Yeah. No, she hated Doctor Who and sex. Anyway.
No, she loved the Bible, which has no violence in it whatsoever.
No, and no sex.
No, of course not.
Just
no.
begatting. That's different.
Good old
Begatting.
Job or whatever his name was, the guy whose daughters get him drunk and have sex with him.
Oh.
Lot's daughters. That's
Lot.
right.
Yes.
Because they want to keep the genetic line. I always love that where it's
Doesn't the angel turn up and say to Lot, give me, and he goes to Lot's house and then the crowd says, we want the angel, and he says, no, I'll give you my daughters.
Oh, God.
That's Sodom and
Well, later
Gomorrah.
on in the story, they're in a cave and they're like, well, we don't want other men to give us children because they won't be as good as our father. So they're like, well, we'll get our father drunk and we'll have sex with him.
Oh, my God. Yes, and there we go. We should just be doing the hideous violence and sex in the Bible.
That's our new podcast, Hideous Violence and Sex in the Bible, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3.
The Old Testament and what you can learn from it.
So the Doctor knocks the gun out of the General's hand and asks to be taken back to the wasteland outside. Even though they have only come through 2 rooms via a small car, they decide to take the long way back.
Why wouldn't they go back to where Sarah was?
Yeah.
That's what I couldn't understand.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Maybe there were too many guards.
Padding.
Right.
No, there were no guards there. Oh, anyway.
Oh, I can't wait for the Ark in space.
Oh, God, is it worse than this?
Well,
How many episodes is the Ark in space?
I don't think it's 6. I think it's 4.
Okay, all right.
hope.
When you said I don't think it's 6, I was like, oh, God, it's going to be an 8 or 12 episode thing.
It's 52 episodes. And there's a lot of kidnapping.
Oh, I'll be counting. 2 things I think I'll start counting from now on. Mm-hmm. How many times they get captured and how many judo chops there are.
Oh.
Karate chops.
There's a few of those.
Because everyone does, this is the era of TV where everyone's like, it's non-lethal, we just do a karate chop and someone instantly passes out.
Adam, do you not know that in the 70s, everybody was kung fu fighting?
And everyone suffered from brain damage, apparently. 'Cause
Yeah.
the longer you're passed out, the more damage has been happening to your brain.
I just love the dramatic deaths. Nobody just dies, just normally and
Yeah,
falls.
you're right. Nobody dies. Nobody dies. There's a cliffhanger, and then it comes back and it's like, well, sorry, she actually tripped.
Yeah, she's okay. No, I mean, nobody dies like hurt and falls over. Everyone's got this
Oh, yes.
over-the-top melodramatic,
They get more melodramatic the further it goes.
yeah.
Like when Nida dies, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, that was, overacting 101.
Speaking of that, they are discovered by Security Commander, National Institute of Dramatic Art. Sorry, Nida.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because I kept thinking, I think I'll never forget that name because Nida.
Yeah, well, it's actually spelled differently, but that's all
He's
I could think.
got a Y,
When
yeah.
it's Nyder. But someone said Nida, I was like, Nida? Does he study at
NIDA?
Ooh, fancy. Studied acting at NIDA, and now you're second in command to a dictator. Ooh, very nice.
I like the character of, I hate the character of Nida, but I think he's played very evilly. I like the actor who does it.
He's there. He's a servant, basically. I don't think he really had a character. He was just like...
really?
I think the start where he's like, down, Raven. That's about the extent of
really?
his character.
Oh, no, I know he's just evil. But, he does sort of worm all the stories out of everybody because
that's
they're
true.
all stupid enough to believe him. I mean, I don't understand that. If the dictator second in command comes and tells you that, and he's never,
Oh, yes.
never doubted you, and then he tells you he's turning on the dictator, you should be a little wary.
Just after you've had a conversation and he comes around the corner, you're like, oh, I wonder if he heard me. And then he comes back and he's like, I'm a bad guy too. You're like, okay, here are the names of the people who I'm with. Fantastic.
Yeah, we won't have that guy under interrogation.
And then, where shall we meet? The detention room. Oh, that's so much easier because I'm going to lock you up in there. Sorry,
Yeah,
what? No,
yeah,
don't worry about it.
I know.
I hate Davros. Ooh, Davros. Ooh.
Yeah, Deborah, get him.
It's like if Smithers from The Simpsons came round. He's like, oh, I hate Mr. Burns. I don't think you do. I hate him so much.
Okay, well, so does Bill and John
Yeah.
and Fred.
I got you. Oh.
I know, there's a lot of naive people.
The Doctor and Harry are chased through the corridors by soldiers and end up outside a closed lift. After stalling the plot for enough time, the lift opens and takes them to the surface. That was pointless.
Yes, well,
Although I do love how all of the doors, the robotic doors, look like they're covered with
alfoil.
alfoil.
Yeah.
Yeah. That cardboard, that silver cardboard you can get at newsagents.
Well, did you know they only had 3 working Daleks, and the Daleks are made of wood?
Well, they had 3 Daleks from the original 60s story, and then they had a bunch of others that just
Didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that scene where all the Daleks are coming into the room, and like one door opens, they come in, another door opens, they come in,
It's the
third
same
door
ones.
opens, and they just sit there. Yeah. Like, oh, those are the Daleks that don't move, hey?
It's quite. I didn't know they were made of wood. I thought they were metal for sure. But there you go. When I was a kid, I had no idea.
Ah, true, yeah. Wood would be easy to work with.
Yeah, and also, well, would it be lighter? I don't know. I feel sorry for the guys who had to get into them. They had a seat. I mean, that'd help.
The original design was they wanted to have tricycles.
Yeah, but I don't think it worked, did it?
That would be great. I would love if they would just take that off and just show the tricycle, like, I'm going to put you through a series of tests.
All right, let's keep going.
Okay, the Doctor and Harry are captured for a second time and taken back to the bunker, so good thing we spent 5 minutes just watching them try to escape. Outside the bunker, Sarah Jane wakes up without her beanie. She runs around the quarry, looking for the Doctor and Harry, finding the platform they emerged from before, because, hey, it was already built, so might as well use it a second time.
He's very cynical.
Stuff
Beck.
just
Very
happens.
cynical.
It's just like, oh...
That's life, Adam. Stuff just happens, buddy.
It might be because I'm writing, trying to write stuff myself, and it's like, oh, I get why they did that. That has nothing to do with the story. It's like, well, it's there. We might as well just use it.
Yeah, let's use it. All right.
She stumbles back into the soundstage where she sees Davros revealing the first Dalek. So when the Time Lords said they were taking the Doctor back before the evolution of the Daleks, they literally meant an hour before the first Dalek was switched on.
Yeah, they lied.
Yeah, I'd have thought a Time Lord would need even a little bit more time than that.
Well, I would have thought so too. And also, since Peter Capaldi met Davros in the middle of a hand mine, why didn't he just push him onto the hand mine and then all done?
Why didn't the Tom Baker's Doctor step on a hand mine?
Ah, well, they didn't.
They didn't
They
hadn't
didn't
been
have
created
him. That
back
was
then.
early in the war. Early in the war. Davros was a little boy early in the war.
Early in the war, but 40 years later.
Yeah, something like that. So my question is, and
Yes.
this only occurred to me now, Davros has made his Daleks, okay, and they're going to be the evolution of the Khaled people who live on a rocky quarry planet.
Yes.
And he builds things that, from the original Dalek story, the first one, they need static electricity to move.
Oh, it's raining.
Rain,
If-
let
I was
us
just like,
cuddle while the rain.
Wow. If you're hearing a
Pitter-patter on
background noise, it's raining outside. Fantastic.
Oh no, we
A little
love
bit temperamental here.
rain. We never get it.
So then we end with our first cliffhanger with Davros calling his creation perfect.
Not much of a cliffhanger, really.
Yeah.
Although, if you think about it, the Daleks were great. Everybody wanted Dalek stories then. So, well, more in the 60s, but they hadn't been on for a while. So, yeah, it was a good cliffhanger as a kid. I'm looking at it as a kid, and I was like, no. And I thought Sarah was going to get,
Oh, yes.
captured by
The first of 2 cliffhangers that end with Davros just screaming at the camera.
oh my God.
He's a screechy boy.
You know, but I love that. I love the fact that he and the Daleks, and it never occurred to me, they're all on the brink of a nervous breakdown the whole time.
He sounds like a Dalek.
Yeah.
So when he gets high pitched.
Yeah.
I did like that. I did enjoy that.
I really enjoyed. And you couldn't reason with him because he's on the verge of a nervous breakdown the whole time. You know, if Daleks fail, they self-destruct. I mean, that's self-hatred,
Or just
isn't
kill
it?
everybody.
Yeah.
In the second episode, Sarah Jane is captured by the Mutos who want to kill her for being too beautiful. That's what they say.
She is beautiful.
She is beautiful.
Although I've got to say that I wish I could remember his name, Galen, I think. He's that bit creepy when he's touching her face like that. You didn't find that a bit? I thought, oh my God, there's going to be...
Later on when they're climbing up the scaffolding and one of them is like trying to push her up the scaffolding and it's like, oh wow, you're really like rubbing up against her, aren't you? Jesus, how old is Sarah?
I don't know how old she would have been in her 20s, I guess. I know that they all say, oh, you know, they were all screamers and stuff. But I think, particularly in the first episode, there's a few times where she's really scared, the first and second. I love how she portrays that sort of, she gets that shake and that sort of, that thing. I really liked it. Instead of just squealing all the time, she does show her fear.
However, in the process, they are discovered by a Thal patrol. So the Muto capture turns into a Thal capture. I counted that as 2 captures.
Is that 3? 4?
2.
2. Right.
Oh, how many in the total episode? I think we're up to 4 at the moment.
Okay.
Harry and the Doctor are scanned, and the time ring is taken, probably for being the sort of cheap jewellery you'd find at Bali.
It's not something that I want to get a copy of and wear around.
It's not a beloved Time Lord creation that everyone loves.
No.
Do they ever use time rings ever again?
Yeah, there is a whole series where Romana and the Doctor. Oh, it's not the time ring, but they're putting the pieces of time back together.
Something else. Yeah. You sure there's no episode where they're like, so which sort of time ring do you want? Do you want one with shark teeth or?
No, Sharks people would want that, not us.
Shout out to the Sharks podcast.
Hello.
How you doing? The lead researcher states that the tests run on them show that nothing about them conforms to any known life on the planet, so I assume that their blood is a different colour or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's like Star Trek where the Doctor just kind of gets a little scan and goes, oh, wow, you've got, 37 diseases. Look here, and I can cure them all with this.
You don't have the car-led disease of chlamydia, which we all have.
Yeah, I don't think they have chlamydia because there's no bloody women. Well, there's just the one in the Thals, and I bet she was popular.
She has her pick of guys.
Yeah. And she's wearing a bib and brace.
Davros shows off his Dalek, which he refers to as the Mark III travel device. Coming soon to a store near you, the Mark III travel device. The head researcher is amazed that the device can understand speech, even though very primitive speech recognition machines had been invented in the early 70s.
Ah, that's Ronson.
Yes, that's Ronson.
I like Ronson.
I kept thinking of Mark Ronson, the producer who produced the album of Lily Allen singing Valerie.
Oh.
Anyway.
I didn't know that. I was just thinking of Ronson. I think they used to make electrical stuff, didn't they?
Do you mean Ronco?
No, Ronson.
Okay.
It's like K-Tel. It's the 70s. Yeah. Sorry.
The Dalek's gun is attached, and Davros gives the Dalek control of itself. It instantly tries to kill the Doctor and Harry before the lead researcher turns it off, telling Davros that he wants to interrogate them. And
this is when Ronson pretty much signs his death warrant, doesn't he?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
A human, a Muto, and a Khalid walk into a Thal dome. That classic joke, eh?
Yeah,
Am I right?
I know. I love the ending of that one. I love the fact that Sarah comes up with the escape plan and she's all gun-ho for it. And then, as we said, halfway through it, they make her freeze and then she becomes a liability and people get killed trying to lift her up and then she falls anyway.
Turns out the Thals are building a rocket and they're using captives to supposed to be load, but I wrote love.
They want captives to love their rocket.
To love them. Love me.
Love my rocket.
And they're using captives to load it with radiation to destroy the Khalids. I mean, I think that's the gist of it. The Khalid gives a monologue with some techno-babble I don't understand.
Yeah, and then we have the very unstable monitor that goes from safe.
Yes.
And then the little dial sort of edges up.
Wobbles like to the other side.
Way up to danger.
Because it wasn't enough for someone telling us there's radiation in there. We have to see a thing. Yeah.
A visual
thing. Or her being tired. It's like, no, there's a thing that shows us it's dangerous.
Yeah.
The Doctor has been interrogated, but has also learnt that Davros is head of a think tank called the Elite, which create weapons for the war. The lead researcher visits them, telling them that Davros has just named his creations Daleks, which convinces him that the Doctor also wants to destroy the Daleks.
I'm interested as to why Ronson suddenly wants to destroy them.
Everybody does. Everyone turns on a dime. They're like, oh, no one wants to go up against Davros. Oh, 80% of us want to go up against Davros.
And they're still going to lose.
Yeah.
Always. And then I just want to have a little meeting. We'll all get together. I won't bring in the Daleks. Oh, okay, cool. Thanks, Davros.
Do you think Davros is going to use those giant machines of death that he created? No. Nah, I doubt it.
Oh, God, he's not a maniac.
Most people's plans aren't to destroy the Daleks. They're just like, they should have a conscience. You can have the Daleks, these machines of death, but as long as they have a conscience. And Davros is not like, sure, I'll give them a conscience.
Yeah.
And then take it out later. He's like, no way. I'm putting my foot down. I don't have feet anymore, but I'm putting my foot down.
I'm putting down the one hand that uses that I can use.
How does he eat?
I think Nida feeds him baby bird style.
Wouldn't that be a sweet scene? All right, sir, it's time to eat. We watched Davros sleep in his chair.
Yeah, I wonder if he ever gets out of his chair. What is his toilet arrangement?
Yeah, Davros is in the bathroom, so he will be with you in about 3 to 4 hours.
Because that little thing can't push anything out. He's so amazing, but he just looks like he's just a clothes hanger, doesn't he? So shrunken, and the actor's done such a good job.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, yeah, we are now in our 3rd episode, and it turns out Sarah Jane, who fell in our cliffhanger, has just fallen onto a platform.
Oh, thank God for that.
I hate this idea of the cliffhanger, where it's like, something has to happen to hook you in for next time.
But, I mean, isn't that born of and this is before my era, but isn't that born of the serials that that they used to have, like at the movies, and they have the serials for the books, so I think Charles Dickens wrote some, and then you'd get the paper the next week or the next month and find out. So I think...
But it just doesn't work with such short episodes.
Yeah.
You, like every half hour, we need to have another cliffhanger.
But I just always think, and that's just silly.
Yeah.
That you feel like you have to have a cliffhanger.
Well,
it's not a natural point.
One of the episodes ends with the Doctor going into the incubator room and coming out with a Dalek creature on his...
I know.
And I was like, if we come back to the next episode and it turns out I was joking, I was like, that's it, I'm done. This episode gets a 1. Like, because it could have gone that way. It could have gone that way. They just pull it off and but I was like, it's a type of show where it could be like, I was joking, guys. This squid creature actually can't do anything.
But at least that kind of makes a bit more sense of the backpack Dalek from Revolution.
I like the backpack Dalek.
I did too, but you see that they have a form. I like the fact that they show you the incubator room without showing you too much, because it just would have, even when he comes out with the little bit of, I don't know, bubble wrap.
It looks a bit like a squid in that thing. Yeah,
it doesn't quite work, but I like the fact that you see, and the green light. Like, I love the lighting in this.
I love those scenes where it's like they just show something and you can't see what it is, and I kind of wish they hadn't shown what was in the incubator room,
I wish they hadn't either, and I'd forgotten that bit. So I remember thinking, you never see in there, which then my imagination went crazy.
Sarah and her Muto friend climb to the top of the rocket. They make a big deal about jumping to the rocket, even though it's a small step away.
Sarah's afraid to step.
I'll jump over, and then you jump over, and I'll catch you.
Yeah.
Literally, we could just jump over together.
Yeah.
How's that,
We could just, widen our stride and just
She does. She just takes a step and walks over. However, the Thals, unlike Tim Shaw... However, the Thals, unlike Tim Shaw, are bloody quick at climbing up scaffolding.
Now, we know Tim Shaw is very, very fast horizontally.
Yes.
It's the vertical he has trouble with.
He should team up with the Thals, because they can climb up real quick.
And then once they're up there, he can take over.
Because they've got to keep stopping and shooting as well.
Hang on, I've got a question. You know that they knock a lot of people out and then run away?
Yeah.
They don't stop and tie them up.
No.
Or give them another good hit.
Well, if you tie them up, how are you going to get recaptured in a few seconds' time?
That's true.
Every time you escape, you have to be recaptured in 5 minutes' time. You're only escaping so that you can stall the plot for a little bit longer.
But I'm thinking the Doctor has a lot in his pockets, so he could have like zippy ties,
ropes.
gaffer tape, rope, all the things a good serial
The
killer
scarf.
needs.
I mean, he could use the scarf to tie people up.
Apparently, Sarah and Harry and the Doctor, well, as themselves, as they're normal people, wrapped themselves up in the scarf, the three of them, just to try and see if they could wrap the three of them together.
I'm surprised that Tom Baker never like falls on his ass, like steps on it and trips over and like smacks his face or something.
In 7 years, he must have at least once.
The Thals stop them, and one of them grabs Sarah Jane's hand and then kicks her off the rocket to show how much of a dick random guard number 1 is.
Yeah, and also just to show you that although the Carlits are pretty evil, the Thals aren't the nicest people in the world either.
I could let you drop. Why did you chase them then?
Yeah.
Just keep shooting at them.
It's a bit of a dick move, isn't it? Somebody was having a few issues.
You'd think that one main character and one recurring character would be able to defeat 2 random guards with minor speaking roles, but no. They are captured again and go right back to doing what they were doing before.
Yes.
Except some of the prisoners are now dead.
Yeah, did they bring in new ones?
Who knows? Doesn't matter, because we find out in one of the next scenes that, this is the last shipment. Oh, okay, good, great. Why is everyone worried about dying?
Yeah.
They're like, mate, you got 1 shipment left. Oh, well, don't worry about it. No ill effects.
But they're going to leave them in the room for when the rocket takes off, so they'll get blown up. They did say that.
In the caves, the Doctor and Harry find the barred exit into the wasteland when Harry sticks his foot into one of Davros's horrific experiments.
The world's biggest pocket vagina.
A giant clam. Well, to find your final evolutionary form, sometimes you have to break a few clams.
It is the worst.
Can you imagine that day
worst.
when Davros is like, I have been performing my experiments. See what we will become. Sir, that's a clam.
It's a very big clam.
It doesn't move. It moves very slowly. No, it doesn't move. It's made of foam, sir.
Yeah, well, that's probably why I stuck with the Daleks, because they move a little better than clams. Not much, but a little better.
Can you imagine the Dalek that had to fit the clam in it?
The clams are so bad, I'm sorry.
And they come back for some reason.
I know.
At no point when they were writing this episode was someone like, sorry, what?
Yeah, a giant
Did they? It
clam.
feels like, sometimes in this episode, it feels like they were just walking around the BBC backlot and they were like, what about those clams? We could use those.
Yeah. Hey, Davros has been experimenting on them. Yeah. Good one.
Like, if you told me, oh, yeah, the clams were the most expensive part. Oh, my God, they took so long to make because they were very specific about having it in the episode. I'd be like, that is ridiculous. That is insane. I figured they were just sitting around and they were like, no, those will do.
Why wouldn't they have... Why don't they have at least scary animals? You know, a snake or something, but a clam?
A clam. A giant clam. It feels like they were just sitting there.
I like that. I think they were.
They're like day-glow orange too.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Nobody can see them, even though I can see them. They were the brightest thing in that room.
But Harry couldn't see him. He stepped right into the clam mouth.
Oh, and don't talk to me about that, because the angle at which their mouths are open, he would have to be very carefully aim his foot directly into the clam.
Well, of course he had to. He was supposed to be a bit bumbling, Harry.
Oh, that bumbling?
Yeah.
So anyway...
He's the precursor to Rory.
Poor Rory. Anyway, the Doctor sticks his stalactite in Harry's clam to give him release. That is a thing that happens.
Yeah, we'll just leave it like that.
Well, he tries to bash it with his rock, but that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Now, when I watched this, I thought the Doctor said that Harry's foot was broken. So I was very confused when he's walking around later on. Turns out Tom Baker says nothing is broken, but he
Yes.
says it very quickly.
Well, when he got up, I figured it wasn't broken.
Well, I watched it 3 times, and I was like, oh, yeah, he does say it's broken. No, he doesn't say it's broken.
Wow, now you're picking on Tom Baker's acting. There is gonna be some backlash to that.
Harry mentions that they need to find Sarah Jane, which is the first time that either of them have acknowledged that she's been missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 3rd episode now.
Yeah.
And they're finally like,
Nobody gave a shit.
where's the woman?
Yeah. I want to know someone cooking for us. Where'd she go?
In the bunker, Davros is checking out his Daleks. One of the scientists called them perfect, and Davros replies that they're excellent, yes, but not perfect. Even though he literally called them perfect in the first episode.
Yes. He obviously realised that was
Or spoke
premature.
too soon.
Yeah, premature. Spoke too soon.
Also, is it just me, or does Davros's backplate look like someone giving the finger?
Ooh. Ooh. Well, Beck just gave me the finger, so... Beck
Yeah, but that's natural. She does that all the
that's
time.
true. I wish you wouldn't do it through every podcast the whole time, especially when guests are here. It's embarrassing.
That's just my job.
Oh, it does too. I
Yeah.
get it. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like someone giving the finger.
Yeah.
As I was watching it the second time to write this, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's what Davros thinks of you and your review.
Well, that's what he thinks of everyone. If you walk behind Davros, you're like, are you...
He's like,
Yeah.
abuse, buddy. I loved the cup of tea banter. Did you like it?
Oh, yeah, that was quite nice.
That
yeah.
was.
You're going to get a cup of tea.
Yes. Or a coffee. We've had a very trying day.
The Doctor and Harry have reached the Carlo Dome and alerted the officials about the Daleks. Their response is to tell Davros that they will check his work and shut it down if it turns out to be evil.
Oh, God.
You know, because that approach worked so well for George W. Bush's invasion of Iraq.
Yeah. I mean, and bureaucracy. I love the fact that all this science fiction and we still have all that shit bureaucracy.
Because that's what people love about the Star Wars prequels is all that bureaucracy.
Oh, yeah, I know. I mean, all those council meetings people love.
Does that make the clams the Jar Jar of Doctor Who? That's what I want to know.
Poor old Jar Jar.
Afterwards, Harry and the Doctor jump back into the caves to head to the Thal Dome to rescue Sarah Jane. There's a lot of cave work in this episode.
There is. Well, there you go. You've got caves, quarries, and corridors.
Oh, my.
You've got it all, buddy.
Davros is informed of the decision to check his work, so he decides to help the Thals destroy the Kala Dome. That was a bit fucked up.
Yeah, and they just believe him. Anyway.
And they go, our rocket is ready to launch. Wasn't that supposed to be a secret?
Yeah.
Why are you telling the guy who a Kala guy?
Yeah, who's the head of their scientific community.
Yeah.
I don't know, but there's a lot of really naive, trusting people here. That was, at the end of it, I went, wow, that wouldn't happen nowadays because we're all so suspicious.
Yeah, well, with all the padding that they needed to do, surely they could have gone, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, believe me. Okay, I will. There you go, padding.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I did like the bit where Tom Baker goes up to the guard and he's like, can you help me? I'm a spy.
Yeah.
And then sexy Tom Baker in his black outfit. Oh, my.
Oh, I got to tell you, I just love his smile.
Very goofy, but he's also looks like he could get stuff done.
Yeah, the first time he smiled on this when I was watching it, I went, oh, it reminds me of being a kid. That just loving that big, you know.
I love the bit where the lead scientist goes, I'm just going to have a look at this to see what your physiology is like. And Tom Baker gives him that smile and he's like,
Yeah.
like what you see?
I love it. I love it.
Now, he is a good actor.
Yeah, he is.
The Doctor sends Harry and Sarah Jane back to the Kala Dome to warn them about the incoming attack, and he tries to sabotage the rocket by looking at the outside of the rocket.
Yeah, well, he said he was going to try to do something to...
Surely you would go inside and start messing around with the electronics.
Yeah, I don't know. I love the digital clock countdown. Somebody just said, hey, I've got a digital clock. By God, you're lucky. Let's use it.
They were like, a minute is too long. Let's make it 50 seconds.
Yeah. Because we don't need that extra 10 seconds of padding. So, yay.
However, the guard they knocked out before crawls to a previously unseen control panel, which for some reason electrifies the scaffolding, which, as we mentioned, would have been very useful when the prisoners were escaping.
Yeah, I have no idea where that came from, why anyone didn't use it before.
Yep, why
It's
it
a
makes
bit
his
shit.
arms, you know,
Is
instead
it the
of...
time ring? Is it the electricity?
He doesn't
of
have the time ring.
Oh,
It's on.
that's
It's
right.
back with the other stuff.
Yeah, why did he get Ronson to bring him back the time ring while Ronson was...
Exactly. Why? Oh, anyway. The Doctor is captured as our third episode cliffhanger, and we're halfway through.
Oh,
my
are you
God.
excited?
Well, it's going to end soon, so...
Were you desperate for the next 3 episodes?
I was desperate for the end.
Did you have a break in between? Or did you
I
just
did.
watch...
Well, no, yeah, I did, yeah. I watched the first 2, and then I had something to eat, and then I just kind of powered through them. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I actually watched the first 3 and then had probably 24 hours and then
Okay.
watched the next 3.
No, I had an afternoon to watch them in. I watched them yesterday afternoon, so I had to finish them and then write the episode straight afterwards.
Oh, gosh.
So I was up till midnight last night.
Oh, no. All right. Well, the next one, I'll find one that's a two-parter. There are 1 or 2 classic two-parters. I'll find you that.
Hey, maybe if we get 2 episodes out of this, I'll be okay. Will Adam make it through the last 3 episodes of Genesis of the Daleks? Will they get 2 episodes out of this recording? Find out in the next episode of D4WH.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
It's very Rocky and Bullwinkle, isn't it?
Whoa. Same bad time, same bad place. And we'd also like to do a couple of listener shout-outs for this episode. First one goes out to Tara, who messaged us to tell us that she loves it when Bjork comes to visit the show.
Only you, Tara. You're the only one who loves it.
She loves it when I come and visit. Hello, Tara. It's good to hear from you.
Listen,
Oh, God.
Tara, you and I can have words about this.
She wants a full episode of Just Bjork.
No.
Where I sing the Doctor Who theme song.
No.
Thank you, Bjork. She compared my impression of Bjork impression, I didn't know anyone was doing an impression, to Melissa Villaseñor, which is high praise as I love watching her impressions on Saturday Night Live on YouTube. She does a fantastic Owen Wilson.
Oh, she does. I've seen that. It is so good.
Yeah, the way her face contorts to do the, it's good. For an impressionist, it's good. We love it when people let us know what they like about the show. Otherwise, we are just trying a bunch of stuff without being sure what's connecting. So thank you so much for messaging us.
Yeah, it's always good to know if there's something really connects with you, let us know. If there's something you thought, I didn't really like that this week, let us know as well.
Exactly, and we'll cut it out.
Yeah, unless it's like one of us, then we won't. Secondly, we got a new review and recommendation on Facebook.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, so thank you so much, Bethany, who wrote, always fun. It's great to hear so many different opinions and ideas about the greatest show we all love.
Oh, we agree, yes.
We do. We love that, Bethany. Yeah. If you're on Facebook, it really helps if you jump onto our page and give us a review and just chat away.
We'd love to talk to you.
A lot more people have been talking to us and it's been wonderful. I'd like to say to Being Tim, my mate Being Tim, when he calls me hello lefty, I shall answer.
I have to call you Lefty from now on.
Hello, Lefty.
D4WH is on Facebook. Give a page a like for updates and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at D4WHpod. We'll post questions and polls and would love your input and feedback. Rate and review us on iTunes, recommend us on Facebook and follow us on Podbean. We are also now available on Spotify and Stitcher. Help us get the word out. Tell your friends about us. And if you see someone on the street wearing a Doctor Who shirt, politely go up to them and suggest our podcast. Get the word out. You've landed on a distant planet. The Earth is but a mere speck in the sky. You slowly lumber around in your spacesuit through the low gravity, collecting mineral samples. Suddenly, you can hear voices. You follow the sound as they become clearer. You can hear constant laughing. You finally reach a spot where the internet radio waves from Earth seem to be reaching and realize that you're listening to an episode of D4WH. Your favorite podcast, but one you haven't heard since you left Earth all those years ago.
Aww.
The remainder of the crew find your lifeless body floating out in space. No, I don't.
Jeez, it just got dark there, didn't it?
Until next time, keep searching the skies for the Doctor.
Goodbye.
This has been a production of The Nerd Infinite. And then the sound of dragons spitting fire and stuff. What? Why are you looking at me like that? Have fun editing, Beck.